if Sifuna and Linda Mwananchi run, there are 3 counties in Mount Kenya that DCP is going to get a run for their money.
Okay.
One is Nakuru, if you consider Nakuru part of Mount Kenya. 2 is Kiambu, because of some of the choices that DCP has made, including, for example, you have Rigathi Gachagua from Nyeri imposing John Mwaura from Murang'a to be the candidate for DCP in Kiambu, which doesn't sit well with a vast majority of people in Kiambu.
Okay.
That's another one. Then you have, with all these comments that have been made in the last few days, you have Meru County. And if you look at Meru County, and you have Embu.
And then you have Tharaka Nithi.
Yes. So if you look at the Sifuna wave, he can cherry pick those counties very easily. Why? Because there's some dissatisfaction. Believe it or not, City, there are people who actually think the way I think. When I engage in family gatherings, when I talk to people.
How many of them have been elected?
That's a point. They have not run. That's the thing. You see, the thing is, we for a long time, especially in Mount Kenya, professionals have stayed away from getting elected. We have left it to the Wamatangis, the Wamakekis. You hardly see Kikuyu lawyers since the time of Paul Mwite, for example. You hardly see Kikuyu professionals getting into the fray because we are busy making money and doing other things. For us, politics was not a thing. People don't want the scrutiny. People don't want the scrutiny. It's just a thing. People don't want the scrutiny.
They were comfortable.
They're just comfortable. DCP wants us to vote emotionally based on Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment. But they forget before Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment, there was the finance bill, which they were part of, right? Which they voted for, majority of them. And therefore, they want us to ignore the issue of the finance bill, where Wanjiku already started getting annoyed, and they want us to concentrate on just the impeachment. Those are their own issues. For me, as far as I'm concerned, and many people, I can tell you, many people I've engaged with, it's just that, there's a lot of intimidation that is happening on the ground. If you do not belong to us, you're a Musaliti. But even if you look at who is being called a Musaliti, it depends on whether you're one of us or not one of us.
Okay. But Daktari, do you know that is an integral part of our politics? At some point in the growth of political parties, in the growth of certain political leaders who then become kingpins, that is what you witness and you see. You dare not say anything that seems to contradict what this particular individual says.
Yes, but CT, the question is, even though that has been an integral part of our history, do we remain with it? Does it make sense?
No, we do not remain with it.
Yes, and therefore we have to stand up. We may not support William Ruto, but we do not support Rigathi Gachagua. In the older generation of Kenyans, there's a lot of emotional voting, especially in Mount Kenya. When you look at this whole, and I know we're going to get into that discussion, when you look at the issue of DCP and UDA, what they're doing is pandering to that emotion. And people are not thinking straight. I ask some of my colleagues and my friends in Kiambu, what is the difference between DCP and UDA? It's the same characters. It's just they changed shirts.
Yes, they did.
They were yellow, now they are green. And you can see it in the behavior. When you see people like Agushia making statements, those statements are similar to the statements that UDA politicians make.
You're actually right, Daktari, because it's just like in football. Mulikuwa mna score side.
Yes.
Sasa half time imefika, muna change sides.
Yes. Yeah. So as long as we keep falling into the trap that they are creating, which is, there are comments on both sides. They thrive on people voting emotionally, not asking the deeper questions of, okay, fine, let's assume Mount Kenya has shifted and is not going to vote for Ruto. Now the question is, what next? What is DCP going to do? You as an individual, what are you going to do for us? How are you going to govern differently from how you were governing before when you were in UDA? That question cannot be answered. Why? Because it's pandering to emotions. And that's the problem. That's a key thing. And I kind of find that with an older generation, although the vast majority, but I think there's space. We're still early in progress in terms of getting to the election. That there's enough time for people to deconstruct that and start asking the hard questions. So when you're campaigning segmentation and understanding, it doesn't mean that we don't try and reach those people. Because why? You might have the chicken, you might have the piglet, but if you go to the hospital and there's no medicine, how does that help you? If billions is being spent on piglets. And then there's also the peri-urban part of Kiambu who don't appreciate chicken. I live in a flat. Why do I want a chicken? There's a younger population that is not into chicken rearing. There's nothing wrong with chicken rearing, but that's not it. There's the farmer who is already established in Githunguri, who has a couple of cows. For him, it's more about value chain and getting product to the market than being given a chicken and fertilizer. So the segmentation of different things, of different types of voters is actually what matters. And with a projected voter base of maybe 1.6 million now, coming to the next election, that base is too big, too varied, and too uncomfortable for my engagements with people, with what Wamatangi is doing. So it's not that he's unpopular, but we can do better. The only way we can do this is talk about it, educate people. I know, CT, you know about the Plato's allegory of the cave. When the gentleman walked out of the cave and came back and started telling people, no, it's not just shadows and smoke. People actually became violent against the person who was trying to enlighten them about what is outside the cave. Plato has a very interesting approach to it, and he says that there has to be a gentle teaching and a gentle awakening of the people inside there. Otherwise, they become violent. You don't condemn. I don't condemn people who support Rigathi Gachagua. All I'm asking them is ask deeper questions. What does DCP stand for? What is its philosophy? What is it going to do for you? For example, let me just be honest. Before Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, the sufurias in my house were maybe 2 or 1. After he was impeached, it didn't change. It's still 2 or 1. So I in an earlier segment, you were talking about I come from Gatundu South. People assume that once you have the presidency, then it's kumbaya, life is good. But that's not the truth. So this whole thing that we are selling, or that is being sold to people, that, we must have a presidential candidate. If one of our own is in charge, life is going to get better. How long are we going to buy that? That is a hoax. It's a hoax. How long has it been? We have had Jomo Kenyatta. We have had Mwai Kibaki. For a vast majority of the people, apart from the wider improvement of their life, there was nothing special during Mwai Kibaki's time that made Kikuyus more special than Kambas. We all benefited from his policies.
And we all suffered.
And when the time for suffering came, we all suffered. Isn't it? True. So this notion that, this idea of, I have no problem with kingpins. What I have a problem is with kingpins who are taking us nowhere.